The 2019 NBA draft class, from generational hype, plenty of talented future stars, players anticipated to become the next big thing, projected to be one of the deepest drafts, the New York Knicks desperately tanking for the #1 pick.
The third pick goes to the New York Knicks.
LeBron about to complete his very first season with the Lakers. When LA officially landed top 4 in the draft lottery, during commercial break, many had goosebumps, dreaming Zion and LeBron would play together, until the New Orleans Pelicans, after resting the disgruntled Anthony Davis, knowing he was gone to the Lakers in the offseason, despite 6% odds landing #1, once made official, the entire NBA landscape disgusted with the results. Even Brian Windhorst suggested Zion to go back to college, wait another year to get another chance at a big market team.
He has not signed with an agent and he has not signed a shoe deal yet. He could threaten to go back to Duke. I'm not saying that he would go back to Duke, but he could threaten to go back to Duke.
How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson, a player in Williamson's magnitude, having insane upside. Some say the most hyped prospect since LeBron. From being the top 5 most talked about players leading up to the 2019 draft, during the times between January to May, only LeBron, Durant, Harden, and Curry, the only NBA players more talked about in the national media than the 18-year-old athletic prodigy. Flash forward 5 years later, 23-year-old Zion, arguably not even top 50 most talked about player. The generational potential all-time great talks died down now, from potential face of the league to absolutely huge disappointments. The early fame, success from having all the talents in the world, but the lack of leadership, hunger for the game, plus off-court distractions, derailing many from this class to reaching their full potential. Not just Zion himself, but many other first-round picks who showed glimpses of star material, but simply can't put it all together. The NBA waits for nobody, an ever-changing league, fresh faces every year, the next future stars to hype up. The 2019 draft simply troubling, disturbing, concerning, strange. Nearly half a decade later, one of the weirdest outcomes to say the least. Starting with the consensus #1 pick, Zion Williamson, showing what he could do for weeks at the time, but simply can't put everything together consistently. His bad habits gets more talked about than his actual game, from averaging less games played each of his first 4 seasons than 33 total with Duke. On the bright side, pretty healthy through the start of the 24 season. After MLK Day, missed just 20% of games this year. After playing 29 in 2023, a full 2022 wasted with injury. Lower scoring and rebounding numbers than his rookie season, has woken up a little bit, playing better since getting roasted after the embarrassing in-season tournament 44-point blowout to the Lakers December 7th. Watching that game, it's like him and LeBron switch places in age. Still overweight, the absolute freak of nature out of Duke, deemed likable at first. Injuries delayed his debut, got his act together year 2, 27 and 7 numbers, 61% shooting. Then hurt, hype train derailed, doesn't appear to have the mental requirements to be great, lacks effort, conditioning, and desire. Even admits it's hard to keep up with diet, got rich early, one of those guys who lost motivation after signing a near 9-figure shoe deal before stepping foot in the NBA, still yet to suit up for a playoff game. What was his PR team thinking, allowing him to drink Mountain Dew sitting on the couch for that commercial? The endless body shame jokes. One of the many examples that talent alone won't guarantee you to the Hall of Fame, no matter how gifted. Coasting on talent alone without putting serious effort, no accountability. At the young age of 23, his athleticism looks 50% of his Duke self, still has no jump shot, not adding in tools, doesn't crash the glass, no professionalism shown to his organization. At least the final 3 years of his contract non-guaranteed, can be waived early, combined with the off-court baby mama drama. Messing with adult film stars, making reckless financial decisions. Zion hasn't acted like a full-on adult yet, a ticking time bomb. If he don't take his basketball career and work seriously, could be one of the most regretful wasted careers. Ja Morant, one of the most exciting players, on his way to becoming one of the young faces of the league, easily the best player in the draft, MVP caliber superstar talent, but can't get out of the off-court troubles, became a superstar and top 12 player discussion by year 3 for a 56-win squad. Spectacular, also reckless style of play, already leading to scary falls, big injuries after serving 25-game suspension, just 9 games played to season-ending shoulder surgery, way too focused adding his street creds, irresponsible actions, trying to act cool despite having the fame, success, and money. The context of his decisions is what matters. Accused of punching a minor, his pops getting into it with Shannon Sharp, the league's weak punishment after flashing his weapon at the club, didn't learn his lesson, flashed the gun on IG Live 2 weeks after getting eliminated. His job going forward, just be on good behavior, not post anything dumb to cause more harm to his image. From being a late bloomer, under-recruited, played with a chip on his shoulder from mid-major Murray State, an established work ethic on the court, but after the NBA success, the wild celebrations, with no discipline from the Grizz throughout 2021-22, many worry about his culture, surroundings. Derrick Rose brought in for a reason. The Grizz needs to continue signing smart, mature vets to keep the fifth-year star on the right track. If things go right and Morant matures, avoids doing dumb stuff and big injuries, one of the few guys in his class on track to a Hall of Fame career. RJ Barrett of the Toronto Raptors, still no identity in the league, the #1 recruit out of high school, overshadowed by Duke teammate Zion. From Melo's comments on the 23-year-old, you don't know if he's going to get 4 points or 26, proceeded to then drop only 4 points his very next game, didn't become the franchise changer anticipated. Instead, it's the signing of second-round pick free agent Jalen Brunson, leading big market New York. RJ's lack of improvements concerning, not a true star, far from a bust, just underwhelming. Very herky-jerky style, not polished like a DeMar DeRozan. RJ pretty much a poor man's Giannis, barreling to the rim, hoping for something good to happen, but without the length, athleticism, size, strength, and hands of the Greek freak. Below average shooting, career 42.5%, had hot streaks, then those 3 of 11 nights to follow, looking like just a rotational player, 3rd or 4th option. Not one thing about his game truly stands out. The last 3 number 3 picks before him, one of the best in Luka, superstar Jason Tatum, and all-star Jaylen Brown. Safe to admit, RJ will never reach those levels. The Raptors now have his 4 years 120, having high highs but even lower lows. OG simply a better fit with Tibbs and a prime Brunson, prime Randall. New York realized they can't waste the waiting on something big RJ Barrett timeline to happen. Not having a clear crucial skill as a 3rd option with better players, combined with his big contract, the main reason New York had to trade him, still struggles adjusting his game each night, would be getting Andrew Wiggins' Timberwolves slander if Zion wasn't in his class, but the Raptors, a franchise that can afford to be patient with him, still young enough to become a true all-star one day. DeAndre Hunter. The perfect reaction many get from the Hawks starting small forward. Injury prone, similar stats every season, 4 years $90 million extension, not the worst thing in the world, but already 26, available in trade talks, a good wing defender, but not excellent, forced to get the toughest assignments guarding the opposing team's most athletic players, bad handles, below average rebounder at 6'8", 225, not a good passer, passive on-court personality, super timid, doesn't have that dog in him, one of those players who needs to be reminded he can do more to impact the game, going through the motions, not consider a big disappointment due to his below average draft class. Most drafted right after him didn't turn out to be anything too good besides Darius Garland. Hunter's biggest problem, hasn't fully accepted a role to become great at, needs to crash the boards, be a consistent knockdown shooter, being too slow with his decision making on both sides of the ball, his off-season quote looking like it's coming back to bite him.
What's the biggest thing that you've worked on the most that we can expect going into next season?
I didn't work on anything.
Darius Garland, 5th pick, stuck in Cleveland, one of the better picks after just 5 games at Vanderbilt, pure floor general, all-star by year 3, great character. Cavs fans who were wrong about him wanting Cam Reddish can have a sign of relief. One of 3 all-stars in his class, given Zion's injury history and lack of work ethic, Garland would easily be picked above Williamson in a redraft. Him and Mitchell still a weird fit, undersized backcourt, pairing with a ball-dominant, high-volume shot maker. Garland kind of stagnant since Mitchell's arrival, but should make many more all-star games. Now one of the most slept-on stars, pairing him with a 3-and-D 6'6" guard, a much better fit given his skill set. Jarrett Culver. An absolute travesty of a lottery pick, one of the worst in recent times, a jack of all trades, master of none, gained hype after making the title game, but locked up by DeAndre Hunter. Drafted by the worst developmental franchise in Minnesota, Clover's career screwed from the start. 47 games played after the Timberwolves, short time in Memphis and Atlanta, a career 40% shooter, under 28 from 3, 51% from the line, has no identity to fit anywhere, but dominating in the G League, putting up over 19 and 6, more like a power forward type, but stuck in the shooting guard's body. Wolves traded to get an early pick, hoping they land Garland, but panicked by taking the Texas Tech standout. Clover last played an NBA game December 16 of 2022, was only 23. Kobe White, one of the candidates for most improved, also drafted to a not-so-developmental franchise, the Bulls. The way they misjudged marketing, it wasn't until Levine got hurt that Kobe White started to make strides. A way better fit, 3 years 36, underpaid, was looking like a disappointment. The only reason why the Bulls aren't a total disaster this season, brings good vibes, one of the best team bargains, playing way better than many $100 billion no-shows, draws charges on D, excellent handles, great pick and roll decisions, could become a Jason Terry caliber player, bright future. Jackson Hayes, trapped in the dysfunctional Lakers maze. New Orleans let him walk away. 2 years 4.6, gets no raise. Getting DMPs, sits on the bench for days, limited skill sets, absolutely freezes on D, a very poor man's Wizards JaVale McGee, more career turnovers than assists, the only thing keeping him in the league, athleticism, being able to jump high at 7 feet, 3 and 2 numbers with the Lake Show, no mental discipline, off-court drama back in 2022, no improvements since getting drafted, Laker fans had raved he was getting more minutes than the better Christian Wood, cried about not making the rookie sophomore game. Even if he's a rookie today, still not good enough for that. Already developed the bat wrapped around the league, could be out the NBA within the next 15 months. Rui Hachimura, making more noise than normal being for LA, drafted to a terrible franchise, stayed the same. Lakers gave him 3 years 51. After a couple good playoff games, plays 23 minutes, typical 12-point average, could be a trade piece, has the physical tools at 6'8", 230, doesn't bring the same energy to the NBA compared to the FIBA games for Japan. Wizards wasted him. For Kendrick out the NBA, none. Washington right now be 11 and 27 instead of 7 and 31 with Rui, also not a great IQ guy, shoots every time he touches the ball, a guy Darvin Ham doesn't seem to believe in. Cam Reddish, another Laker, the 8 to 10 pick in LA. The most scrutinized role player today, on a 2-year deal, same with Hayes, but criticized like he's making $12 million, started most games, shaky shooter, under 34% from 3, already on his 4th different team, a make or break year. There's no forgiveness or second chances if you can't perform on a LeBron-led team, especially with the Lakers. Finally realizing he's nothing more than just a 3-and-D, play more minutes than he should most games, way too streaky to be playing more than 22 minutes, still needs to overcome some mental hurdles, gives good effort on D. Laker fans could care less if Cam's traded tomorrow. Could have easily been picked as high as number 4. Thankfully, drafted 6 spots after. Might end up overseas in a year and a half. Cameron Johnson, an excellent pick, earned his bag, already almost 28, was 23 when drafted, prototypical 3-and-D starter, being stuck in Brooklyn, gets his 30-something wins, paid handsomely, identified his role early, very solid player as a 4th offensive option, likely a 12 to 16 point scorer. The next 3-4 years, already a finished product. Many teams would love to draft a guy like him. Too bad Minnesota traded him for the atrocious Jarrett Clover. PJ Washington, also drama troubles with child support payments, stuck on stinky Charlotte, not much improvement, 3 years 46, wildly inconsistent, a bench guy on a contender. If he's starting and playing more than 30 minutes, that's not a serious team. If the Lakers can get him for Rui, they absolutely take it in a heartbeat. Despite being 6'8", lackluster rim finisher, meant more for spotting up and defending the best wings, won't make much noise unless traded to a better franchise, but very solid pick for 12th. Tyler Hero, excellent get for Miami, good offensive player, 4 years 120, might just be a little much, especially being in trade talks. Team made the finals without him, will always be super polarizing figure, much improved on D, a good player capable of becoming a multiple-time All-Star, but not as good as his fans say he is, also not as bad as the haters would want you to believe, would still be picked behind Ja. Zion and Garland in the draft redo has a case between 4 to 7. Romeo out the NBA Lanford. If San Antonio or Utah don't want anyone back, tough luck. Highly touted in high school, stock fell off after a year at IU. Now in the G League, a broken jump shot, way too unpolished, but not the most unproductive lottery pick. That belongs to Sekou Doumbouya. 96 total games, drew Giannis comparisons, last played in the G League 2023 on his way to joining Metropolitans 92, simply a poor man's Don Maker. Chima Okeke on Orlando's bench, free agent next season, nothing special. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, okay role player on Minnesota, 2 years $9 million, solid role player on a good team. Gogo Batadze, backup center for the Magic, much improved, possibly a 2-year $13 million guy. Matisse Thybulle, 20th pick, great defender, still flaw offensively. Potential trade target for a team like the Bucks, hasn't proven much in the playoffs, nothing more than the defensive role piece, a little overhyped during his tenure in Philly. 21st and 22nd picks, Brandon Clark and Grant Williams, solid role players on good teams. The rim runner off the bench for Memphis tore his Achilles last season. Badly missed for the Lakers first round series, good energy, career 10-6 guy, 4 years $50 million. Williams, similar deal, 3-D type with physicality, much better than several lottery picks. Darius Baisley in G League, Ty Jerome, borderline NBA, Nasir Little, backup limited on the Suns, Dylan Windler, picked up by the Lakers, hasn't made much impact. Interestingly enough, the 28, 29, and 30th pick, more upside than the Lakers' Hayes, Hachimura, and the Reddish 8 to 10. The showboating aloof arrogance Jordan Poole after the 2022 title probably would have been top 5 conversation, up there with Tyler Hero and RG Barrett. Now an awful contract paid $140, no reasonable team would want him. Unwatchable 90% of times, worst numbers on a horrible team, has star talent but erratic decisions. His legacy looking like best remembered for getting punched by Draymond. Keldon Johnson of San Antonio, good numbers on a bad team, a player many teams interested in, good scorer, but not an all-around guy, can't pass, old 20 mil, followed by 74 the next 4 years, more than a solid deal for a player his caliber, super inconsistent, a third option at best on a competent team. Kevin Porter Jr., an absolute travesty, wasted talent, terrible attitude, despicable actions. That's why he was a late pick. His September troubles New York City hotel, more of a distraction. The Rockets no longer toxic without him. His NBA career going forward, nobody truly knows, needs to get his act together. No fan base want him on their team. Nick Claxton, 31st pick, huge improvements, could be used on a contender, a double-double guy. Nets fans shaking he hasn't gotten the contract extension, was looking like a DPOY candidate when KD and Kyrie still with the team. Something in the 4-year $85 million range, most realistic, willing to improve and work on his jump shot, unlike his other useless teammate. Very good second round steal, Daniel Gafford, solid big, starts for Washington, 10-8 guy, 3 years $40 mil, good shot blocker, solid all around. Bobo, pick 44th, had his fair share of issues, all that height, underachiever. Taylor Horton Tucker, oldest looking 23-year-old in the league, on his way to getting bald, decent role player for Utah. Terrence Mann, solid role player for the Clippers. Not an all-time great draft as anticipated, but far from terrible compared to the likes of 2000. Tons of terrific role players, but off the court troubles, an absolute nightmare. Some of these players today still very immature, most already in their mid-20s by now. Even one being on all-rookie team to out the league for a few years now. If Ja and Zion's body don't hold up, it's very possible years down the road, this class might not have any future Hall of Famers.